Good afternoon. As Charlie said, I'm Gordon Ramsay. I'm the Wichita Police Chief. Want to just bring you up to speed a little bit on last night's events and talk about what's been going on lately. I first want to start out by saying how proud I am of our police officers and our police department. They remained extremely restrained and professional in their activities over the last several days. Last night they faced a particularly harrowing and life-threatening situation that I couldn't be more proud of them for the way they handled it. There has been several protests that have occurred, actually many protests that have occurred the last few days. And I'm really hopeful we can come together as a community and let voices be heard and continue moving Wichita forward. You know, we, as a police department, we have worked incredibly hard. Everybody in this department has worked incredibly hard to build goodwill and strong relationships with our community. I cannot understate how that has been a major focus of what we have been envisioning as a police department and working toward. Our goal is to keep our community safe and our officers safe and make Wichita the best city it can be. There was, in these incidents recently, we've also called on many of our partner agencies to assist us, and I really want to start out just by thanking the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, Bel Air Police Department, Derby Police, Valley Center Police, Park City Police, Mays Police, Eastboro Police, and the Kansas Highway Patrol for their assistance, particularly last night. So what started out as a peaceful protest at 21st and Arc last evening turned into a very violent scene in the early hours this morning. The protest started in that area of 21st and Arc around 7 p.m. People began to gather and protest. At about 11:30, a glass plate, glass side window on the Metro PCS store on 21st was vandalized, and we noted that random shootings, random shots began to ring out in the area. We also noted that disturbances were escalating throughout the night, and shots continued after that window was broken and caused us more concern. We don't have an issue with peaceful protests, but when property is damaged and shots ring out, it definitely raises our level of concern, as I'm sure it does our community members. So to ensure the safety of people and property in that area, we moved in with officers to clear the unlawful assembly out of that area and ask people to leave. In doing so, the majority of people left peacefully. They were ordered to leave. We declared it an unlawful assembly, and they were told so over a loudspeaker. About 50 to 70 people remained. As our officers moved in, they were hit with cinder blocks, rocks, water bottles, and other debris at the scene. And those that remained were very hostile. As the officers were addressing those protesters, shots began to ring out in the not too distant area, which obviously was very concerning. In one case, officers heard rounds ricocheting off one of the armored vehicles that was at the scene. No officers were hit with gunfire. However, 3 of them did get injured with debris that was thrown at them. That included 2 of them requiring stitches. And as I said, fortunately, the injuries were minor. 2 arrests were made during the incident for charges of criminal discharge of a firearm, rioting, and failure to disperse. And additional arrests are forthcoming. When we continue to investigate this serious incident, and we are going to hold people that were actively engaged in illegal behavior accountable for their actions. That's a synopsis of what occurred that night, and I'd be happy to, early this morning, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Can you say what police used to clear the scene?
Yeah, we used, so to clear the scene, we used chemical irritants, smoke rounds, aerial burst, which is kind of like a flashbang. It makes a big boom. And 40 millimeter foam rounds. They're less than lethal type of a round. Those were what we used.
Okay, so foam rounds instead of rubber bullets?
Correct. Foam rounds instead of rubber bullets.
And chemical irritants, is it like tear gas?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you know about the situation? Who's been organizing it? Is it an organized effort?
Well, this event last night just kind of really came about. There was a planned event that we had heard about where some individuals were wanting to take some action elsewhere in the city. They ended up relocating there. And it seems like kind of an organic gathering that just happened via social media or however the word got out.
As the response goes so far, how are you on staffing and handling these types of things? I know Wichita Police kind of operates under crisis mode all the time, but how are we doing with staffing and handling events like this? Are we prepared for another?
Yeah, we're doing good with staffing. However, we needed help last night when the rocks and bottles were coming at us and the crowd was as violent as they were. And that's why we called in other agencies to assist. So going forward, and there was no playbook on these as they unravel. I mean, it is extremely rare for police to take gunfire during protests. I mean, it's just, you don't hear about that happening, if at all. So that was a concern, but we have a plan moving forward in partnership with area criminal justice partners to ensure that if anything does come up, that we will be ready to address it.
Who else have you partnered with within the city?
Well, within the city, Public Works has been great. They've been good partners. That's probably one of our primary ones. The Sheriff's Department has been phenomenal as well in providing a lot of staff and assistance with this too.
Are you still asking for tips on social media or wherever else to figure out who is kind of organizing these and how this organically moves and grows?
Yeah, if anybody knows who's responsible for any of the, if you're wanting to start a riot or whatever, that is a crime. You cannot, incite a riot. And we're going to hold those accountable who are threatening looting, planning looting, and creating lawlessness in our community. It's not going to be tolerated.
What about the officers too? As far as the officers involved, are they volunteering for these shifts, or it's just as the staff rotates, you use the staff? Or I know there's, I won't say SWAT, but I assume there's an SUV type police vehicle out there. So
yeah, it's the officers oftentimes are assigned to these assignments. But I can tell you, everybody was a little shaken last night. That's not something that we're used to.
Can you talk about those pictures right there? I know the
Yeah.
helmet is that from the...
Yep. We're going to get you some body camera video. There's like 80 videos that we're going through, and we'll get you some of that. Charlie and Kevin are working on that. This also, we believe that this was likely a round that hit that officer's head and ricocheted off this helmet. We can't say with 100% accuracy, but that's what we believe. That's what the officer believes. And it was consistent, the timing. Officers saw some muzzle flashes as well. And that, between that and the ricochets off those vehicles, really highlight what these guys and gals were up against last night.
And so most of these protests have been peaceful and now you have
Right.
this one. So moving forward, how are you going to handle, from the beginning to the end?
Right. Well, we've been allowing peaceful protests. We've been facilitating it. We've been working so well with community leaders to make these things go well. And we'll continue to do that. Obviously, we'd like people to work together and work in ways that are going to bring people together and not be divisive. What happened last night doesn't do our community any good. It doesn't help anybody further any mission or make any valid points. It was extremely dangerous, and we're just not going to tolerate that.
I will say this, I talked to Quick Trip. They said they're not closing their store over there, but they said they're in constant communication with their store staff. Apparently they've been communicating with you as well. What does somebody do if they have a business out there? Do we have advice for them yet, or is that still a work in progress?
Do we have a what? I'm sorry?
Do we have a plan that we're offering to business owners, or is that kind of work in progress, or I don't know?
Yeah, well, so we're constantly monitoring, and our goal is to protect property. And let's not lose our focus here, right? I mean, we had a broken window last night. The store wasn't looted. There was not, it was a broken window. And while I don't like that, it's not what happened in other cities, right? And we have managed to avoid the major arrests and the major property damage that has occurred in other cities because we've been working closely with our community members to ensure that these remain peaceful. And what we saw at the end of the last night was not the people that we've been working with. They were people that haven't been at the table, they haven't been engaged with us, they have no idea what the police department's been doing to build this goodwill. They showed up and they wanted a confrontation.
Let's do one more question.
Chief, how many officers were there yesterday?
For that event, I think we ended up with about 70 to 80, but when we called for assistance, many other agencies came to assist, and I don't have the exact number, but I would imagine, by the time the event was over, there was probably over 100 officers there.
And they were equipped for what? What kind of equipment were they using?
Right, so this is something that you may want to think about, right? So there was active shots being fired, right? That's why we went in there, to create safety. We're not going to send officers in there without some type of safety gear. So they did have Kevlar, most of them had Kevlar helmets. We don't have, not everyone had Kevlar helmets. We had the armored vehicles, which may have saved an officer's life. That helmet may have saved an officer's life. So we're not going to send these guys into where people are shooting without some type of protective equipment. Now, we didn't know they would, we didn't know they would be targeted, right? That was, came as a shock to us, and very, very disheartening. Okay? Thank you.
Chief, appreciate that. Appreciate the chief coming and sharing again, just words about a very violent incident, as he stated last night. I do want everybody to know that if you do have information on this case, if you happen to have any additional information to help our investigators, please call our investigators, 268-4407. You can also call Crime Stoppers, 267-2111. And we'll be putting this on our Facebook page, and also on the news release, there is a website link. If you happen to have video that would help our investigators, you can upload that video to this link, and that will allow our investigators to have access, immediate access, and to be able to view and download that video to assist with this investigation. I know, again, there was a lot of individuals out there last night, a lot of cell phones, a lot of cell phone video. So if you happen to be in that area or have a video from your home surveillance camera, there will be a link. Again, I'll put that on Wichita Police Department Facebook page, and it's also in the press release that I've handed out to the media. I'll post that as well. But citizens, community members are able to upload that video securely to that link, and it will give access to the Wichita Police Department investigators as we continue to investigate this violent situation that occurred last night. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Charlie, can you describe the picture?
Yeah, that's just one of the helmets that officer was using last evening during the incident, and you can see the damage that occurred on the helmet, and that's just one of,
It's right there at the top, the dent.
yeah, you can see the close-ups of where the damage is at.
Charlie,
Okay.
if there is another protest there tonight, police aren't just going to go in and break it up as long as it remains peaceful, right?
Yeah, like the chief said, we are definitely prepared to focus on, and our number one priority is to help keep the community safe.